Hi, this is Blurxyzer, also known as Blur on FSMP sections. This is a quick start orientation for the new simulation pilot who come on this server for their first couple of time. Now you may have been flying the free flight by yourself and really getting a little bored and having the computerized lady telling you some of the controller instructions, and all of a sudden that you have come across these multiplayer features, and knowing that you can actually get online and play with other people or pilot online. And for the first time user, you would actually have to use a existing email account, and you would just click create new account and just follow the instruction and register a Gamespy user ID that way. Once you have a user ID set up, and just come back in here and type in your password and click sign in. And for one of the first requirement to actually get into the FSMP session is that the mic is actually required to fly in this sections. And so we have found the FSMP open Saturday, and you'll realize that some of these sections have a little locker sign right next to it at the beginning. That just means that it has a little a password code for you to be able to enter into the sections. And whenever you see that little locker sign right next to MSMP, all you have to do is looking down in the descriptions, and it will say a particular password for you to enter when you click join. It meant to set up that way is to make the new player who come in this section will be able to read the descriptions and make sure they spawn their aircraft at the gate, file a flight plan before taxi and takeoff, and pay attention to the audio as they enter the sections. So we have highlighted and we're ready to join. Click join. And if you're first time in the multiplayer mode, and you can actually come over here and click on this little icon, it will pull up the chat room, and you can actually type and introduce yourself if you want to. And the next thing is that you actually want to pick a aircraft to fly in, and before you pick aircraft, you can actually you should actually keep in mind of a few rules. The first rule is that there's no fast military aircraft with the afterburn. So that means all the fighter jet with the afterburn, you won't be able to fly on these sections. Fighter such as F-16, F-18, things like that, and also no aerobatics. There's some of the racer airplane that come with the service patch 2. You won't be able to fly aerobatic with those airplane. And also another rule is that we have discouraged flying a formation, so there's no formation flight when you're flying on this server. Now we have come in to aircraft selections, and you can see all these aircraft, and we also do not have the air creation trike allow, since that we're flying mainly the single engines and multi-engine, and also turboprops and turbojet aircraft. So you actually would not want to enter with this particular aircraft. And I am going to find a aircraft that's Cessna. Another way to sort it out is sorting out by aircraft manufacturer, and I'm gonna go select Cessna. Today I actually want to start with Cessna C-172 Skyhawk, which is a trainer aircraft for most of the student pilot as well as the private pilot certifications that most people will start with those aircraft and say okay. And also another thing to keep in mind when you're selecting the aircraft is that you want to make sure you're familiar with the equipment in your cockpit and know how to handle the aircraft. And by that I mean you would be able to find where your radio and to be able to change the radio frequency, and also know what's the transponder code, where's the transponder code, and how do you operate and handle the airplane. And those are actually critical things that you do not want to get on here, the server, and ask people, say, how do you fly the airplane that you just picked out. You should be able to do that on the free flight, get familiar with the aircraft, then come back on the session, and to be able to fly like you would as in the real world, in the real world airport, that you're not asking the air traffic controller to ask them how to fly your aircraft. Now I have selected my aircraft is Cessna C-172 Skyhawk, so please remember the type of aircraft that you have selected. The next thing you have to do is actually change the ATC name. Over here, the Flight Simulator 10, it comes with some sort of default setting. Now you will actually go over here and click change, and make sure you want to set your airline call sign to none for all aircraft, including the turboprop and turbojet. Sometimes the default they will set to Air Canada or anything like that, Coast Guard, Delta, UPS, things like that. You all want to set all aircraft that you're flying on the server set to none and flight number to 0. And you actually want to come in the tail number and put in your call sign in the tail number instead. Now I'm flying a Skyhawk, is usually a private owned aircraft, and you would actually have a registration number. Those registration number are actually a call sign to use for between you and the aircraft controller. So it will always start with November. 5-character alphanumeric, which is combinations of alphabetic and numeric character. And sometimes I just make up the one that I think is something that I will remember, which is 350 Bravo X-ray. And obviously you had to make up your own to put that in as a call sign. And please remember your tail number as well, and you will be inputting that in the chat box to that will be further used. Say okay. So we got our aircraft type and ATC call sign set up properly, and the next thing we want to do is actually check who's online. To do that, we will actually have to go in and type /C in the chat box. Once you hit enter, then it will come up with a list of active controller, and it may come up if it's a long list of more than one. You may have to scroll up and down to be able to figure out who's on. And so right now it's indicating that there is a controller at KMCO, which is this is a Orlando International Airport. This is the controller currently using 119.40 as a controlling frequency. So this will be able to determine where would you like to start your flight. And for this portion of video, we will go ahead and spawn at General Aviation Ramp at the Orlando International Airport. There will be another video to show you how do you start from a remote airport and get the information that you would need. So now we have those information. We got our aircraft type, we got our call sign set up, and we have determined that we're flying from the hosting airport. Now there's the next thing you want to change is your starting location. Even though it says Orlando International Airport, the next requirement is also changing. Instead of spawn at active runway, you actually want to spawn at gate, any parking. And this is a single engine, and I would like to start my aircrafts to park at a General Aviation Ramp, which is a small aircraft. Select that, and as you see this list, when you highlight the Orlando International Airport, it will show you the airport ID, which is Kilo Mike Charlie Oscar. Please remember that, and you will also input that information as well. Now, while you're at it, you can also search the destination airport you would like to fly to and find out what's the airport ID. You can either search by airport name or by city, or if you already know the airport ID, you can definitely put that in there as well. And right now, for this example, I am going to find out where's Tampa Bay. And the Tampa Bay, the airport ID code is actually Kilo Tango Papa Alpha. And once again, when you're selecting a different airport, one of the things is that the starting position will always change it back to active runway. So please pay special attention to that and make sure you spawn at the gate. And we'll go back to Orlando to make sure our aircraft is spawned at the right location. And say, okay, ramp, general aviation, small aircraft. Okay, aircraft type, ATC name, and our current position, we're starting at the Orlando International Airport. Please remember that if you have a piece of paper and pen handy, that will definitely helpful. Not just remember some of these information, as well as later on that you'll be getting the clearance instructions from the controller. You will need to have the pen and paper ready to be able to copy those information down as well. Okay, we're ready to join the section, and just click OK to join, and you will see the current user and pilot that's currently in the sessions already, and just click join again. So when you first get into the airport, you will hear a automatic voice message, and just please listen to that very carefully. And right now, every time you first started in the airport, the simulation will be on the pause mode. Just press P as in Papa to be able to continue. Let's just go ahead and keep that pause for now. Now you want to hit enter key to be able to call out your chat box. As you scroll up a little bit, the server will automatically provide a auto-repeated message to show you some of the hosting airport information, elevations, ATIS, which is the weather radio frequency that you should tune to before you actually start your flight planning. And when you're first come onto this section, it'd be good that you actually find out kind of command that's being used on this server. So I would recommend that you actually type /help and enter, and you will see a list of command. And ignore the number sign in the front. That's just a matter of coding issues. You just want to type in all the command and all start with /C to see the list of active controller as an example, and /R to list the rule. And here is another automatic display message that's showing you that you must file your flight plan before you do anything. And if you're first time on the server, it's /R, and make sure you read over these rules to understand that you just don't do anything stupid, disrupting other player, and make sure you file a flight plan. Read through all of these and follow them carefully. Now it says that it's asking you to file a flight plan before taxi and takeoff. Now the thing is, you will actually have to figure out some of the weather information before you determine whether or not you're flying at IFR or VFR. And for that, you type in /Z as in Zulu, and that will give you a list of information at the host airport, which is Orlando International Airport. Again, it's showing you 95 elevations and the weather information again, and also the Unicom 122.905. I'll explain that a little bit later, and clearance delivery and or other information as well. We will go through all these in another video sections. Now we want to remember that the Orlando weather information is actually 120.52. The Orlando ATIS is 120.52. Okay, so let's go into our aircraft and open up our radio stack. And right now the COM1 is always will automatically set to 118.75, and that's the lobby channel. You will actually want to change that to make sure you're tuning into the right frequency when you come on the server. The first thing that we're doing is that we need to tune in our radio frequency to the weather information, which is 120.52. This is the reason why you need to know your equipment for the airplane. You need to be able to know how you switch the radio frequency. And now we have 120.52 at active set on COM1. Now we don't hear anything is because the simulation is currently paused right now. So all you have to do is close the chat box and press P to unpause it, and make sure your parking brake is on. And you will see the Orlando Information Airport is scrolling through on the top. So let's go ahead and switch back to the Unicom frequency, which is 122.905, and you will see that the information will continue to scroll through for your review again. And you can see that the visibility is greater than 20 miles. Sky condition, few cloud, 2,900 and 6,500 scatter, 9,500 scatter, meaning that those are cloud at those elevation level. And it's telling you the active runway are 17 left, 17 right, 18 left, 18 right, and the information is Victor. So you'll remember information Victor. Let's keep that as noted. That'll be your weather information. So you'll be expecting to depart or land 17 right, 17 left, or 18 right and 18 left. And the weather information has determined that we are able to fly as a VFR. So we could actually file our flight plan with VFR. So let's go ahead and hit enter to open up the chat box again. We'll get back in and figure out how to file a flight plan. So in order to do that, we just press plus FP, and it will display a list of instructions, and just read through them carefully. That all the pilot will need to file a flight plan before they taxi, and this is one of the example. All the flight plan will start with plus FP, and the format would be either you're flying IFR or VFR, your call sign, aircraft type, departing airport, route and destination airport, and a request altitude. And for this example, this particular aircraft is flying IFR, and it's actually Delta Airline 1234, and the aircraft type is Boeing 747, and it's flying from Los Angeles, flying GPS direct to San Diego International Airport. The requested filing altitude is actually flight level 220. And down at the bottom, it will also actually tell you that for VFR you can only fly up to 17,500, and all VFR altitude must end in 500 feet. And you also have to remember that flight levels start at or above 18,000 feet. So flight level will file as FL180. Anything below 18,000 feet, you would just write a 3-digit number format, and that will be very clear for the controller to actually read your flight plan. So here's my flight plan. In our example, we are starting with plus FP, and you can actually put a / to have as a divider. That would actually make it a little bit cleaner for the controller to read your flight plan. And I am going to fly VFR, and my call sign is November 350 Bravo X-ray. Sometimes it will have it on your 2D panel, sometimes it doesn't, so it'd be good that you actually remember what call sign you actually use. And this is a Skyhawk 172, Cessna 172. That's the airplane, and we're flying. Currently we're at Orlando, which is KMCO. That's the Orlando Airport ID code, and we are actually, for this example, we're just go ahead and file GPS direct, and to Tampa. That's Kilo Tango Papa and Alpha, and that's the code that we have found out previously when we're selecting the airport to start with. And another divider, and we're flying the VFR. Just keep the altitude in mind, and we're flying from Orlando to Tampa. That's westbound, so I will be filing a 12,500 feet. You can written as that way, or you can also written as the 3-digit 125, and that will be clear to the controller to see that. And you can put in any remark if you like, if you think it will help you or the controller. And I would like to specify that I have chart on board. And in the real world flight plan, sometimes they will put down how many soul on board. You can also put that just to increase the realism. You do not have to put that, but the minimum requirement of the flight plan format are to follow: declare your IFR, VFR, your call sign, your aircraft type, your departing airport, your route is possible. If it's direct, that's definitely no problem, and you'll be at the destination airport. Your request altitude, your obviously will be your cruising altitude, and the remark that you can add at the end that you would think that would help the controller when they're receiving you when you're moving around the airport. And go ahead and put your cursor at the end and press enter, and you will see that the server have indicated that a flight plan have successfully filed and created. Now if there's any doubt, you can always type $FP if that does not create a flight plan. Sometimes there's a little technical problem that it does not display and respond, and so you can actually type in, and it does show that we have one file. -FP is for deleting the flight plan. Now that show that my flight plan is deleted, if I do a $FP, it will indicate that I do not have a flight plan. So that will be bad. So that means I will have to make sure that I have a flight plan file before I taxi, or in this case contacting the live controller. Okay, I have put my flight plan back in and press enter, and I will show that my flight plan have filed back in on the server now. So this will finish up our quick startup orientation for the FSMP server. There will be another video to show you how do you talk to other player in the sections, and also show you how do you use some other feature that come in Flight Simulator 10. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you on FSMP soon.